All right, we're into part 2 now of the 2019 Spring LCS Preview Series. Team number 2 is the team that finished 9th place last year is Clutch Gaming. And I'm just going to give you a quick spoiler. I think they're garbage. So you're going to watch the rest of this video to see how we came to that conclusion. Of course, if you enjoy any of this, do consider following the different social media stuff. It does help me as I'm trying to pursue a career as a showcaster. So on with the show. The Clutch Gaming as our next team. They finished 9th last year with a 6-12 record, and they have proven some interesting places as well. A team that I actually thought was going to potentially not do a whole lot did quite a bit.
Yeah, I was a little surprised. Like, going into Clutch last year, we kind of talked about how, like they had that great spring performance where they upset TSM, and then they had they missed the mark going into summer, and you kind of wonder what the heck's going on. And there was kind of feelings that Fevivin maybe wanted to leave North America. And I personally am a huge critic of Lyra, so having that as
the one thing that stayed.
The one thing that stayed. So when we talked last year about or at the end of last year, what could possibly change, I kind of said you can kind of make an argument for any player to stay except for Lyra, and ironically, he's the only one that did. So it's weird to me that, and we'll get into a little bit with Echo Fox later too, but they kind of just traded rosters, really.
Yeah.
Like, they brought in Huni in the top lane, they kept Lyra, they brought in Monte, who played the last little bit of the split with Echo Fox, and then they brought up from Academy Piglet and Vulcan, who they had tried during, I believe, just 1 week or one game.
Yeah.
During the regular season. But Piglet now being an NA resident allows them to have Huni and Lyra.
Yeah, and it's such a awkward roster. Like last year, of course, we were talking a lot about how Echo Fox was that boom or bust roster, and I guess any team with Huni on that just gets that title.
Yeah.
But you have Piglet, who's just been has been so bad over the history of him playing in NA. I honestly have no hope for this. I think Huni will smack some kids every once in a while. But honestly, I just look at this roster and I'm like, Damonte's so unproven. Piglet has actually proven to be bad at a lot of different times. Vulcan is pretty unproven. Again, Lyra was probably the weakest point of the team last year. So it's is Huni gonna I don't think this team would beat Echo Fox's team last year. If somehow you clone
I agree
Huni,
to that, yeah.
right? So I feel like this team. Earlier I said I feel like every team just got a little bit better to keep going. I feel like this team got worse in its own way because it's so all over the place. With the exception of you're okay, Huni's better than Solo, but I just I don't know about the rest of it. Lyra's the same person. Fevivin, I would go with Fevivin's better than Damonte. Apollo and Hakuo, even though they weren't super great, I bet you Apollo and Hakuo versus Piglet and Vulcan would actually be extremely interesting to watch them play against each other, because I don't think Piglet and Vulcan is gonna blow up this league all of a sudden, especially with some of the new AD carry talent coming into it, which we're of course gonna touch on some more later. But I honestly have the lowest.
We get to see that matchup too.
Yeah.
Because they did get traded to Echo Fox, so we do get to see that matchup later, and we'll kind of get to talk about after the fact, was it the bad trade because they lose their starting AD carry and support, or traded them away for their Academy roster. I think that so Clutch kind of talked about in some of their tweets and some of their interviews with Sebastian Park, their manager, that they were looking for a statistical high ceiling.
Right.
They were looking for that potential just boom of first place, even if their average might be a playoff team.
Yeah. And
I do see that in the roster. I very much see that because Lyra came in as the strongest jungler in Envy. Huni, like you said, is the boomer bust player.
Yeah.
And Piglet has had those sparks of just genius in the bot lane, but it's so few and far between that it's I agree with you. I feel that this roster is not as amazing as it could be, and is kind of a side grade to last year's Clutch Gaming, and a downgrade to last year's Echo Fox. But I do see the logic. I don't necessarily agree with it.
I'm so unhyped about this team. I know what, I would love for them to prove me wrong and they do well and all that jazz. But I'm honestly we're gonna get more into where we're actually to place teams later, where we think they're gonna finish. But honestly, Clutch is one of the teams trying to fight to not be last place in my brain.
I would have loved to seen for this roster, not keeping Lyra, especially when I feel like there's so much open jungle talent. Optic ended up with Dardoch on Academy, and you know, there was some import European junglers that were kind of left open. I would have loved to have seen a different jungler in this team.
There's a world where Clutch didn't change anything else. They changed Lyra for Dardoch, and I would have been hyped about their team.
Yeah,
Right,
I can agree with that. It's not like they were losing Febiven regardless.
Yeah,
but,
right.
like,
Yeah, so maybe they would just have to have changed the mid laner. But anyway, but still, like there was a world where that was the change they made, and like even keeping solo and all that jazz, I would have been like, okay, let's go for it. I would have been like,
Yeah.
maybe they're a playoff team. I'm not saying they would be like a best team, but I would be like looking at them being a playoff team. But man, like I'm so low on this roster. Everyone clip this part of the video, because if I'm absolutely wrong, you can replay it for me and laugh at my face. But honestly, I'm not super happy with them.
I am gonna make a bold claim here because, like you said, you're kind of saying they're gonna be really ball on the roster. I think that Lyra is gonna be the worst jungler in NA.
Sweet.
Going in split. I very much
quickly
believe that
scanning other junglers, yeah. And that's with some other junglers just being boosted by the fact that their team's so good too. So it's just like they'll just look good by default.
No, I
like,
straight up believe that Lyra is the worst jungler.
But straight up is the
own.
worst jungler on his own NA. Yeah.
And he takes up an import slot, which is just like, what are you doing? Like,
it's insane.
At least other teams took risks with like 100 Thieves last year, bringing in Anda.
Yeah.
You know, like I can respect that because you're bringing up an NA talent and you're trying to, you know, improve this guy so that you have a resident jungler that's good.
Right.
This was like, oh, we've had this import that had one shining split and then a bad, you know, year and a half. Get rid of him. Like, what are you doing? So,
yeah, it's absolutely insane to me. But hey, they did the math, and this is what they came up with. All right, that was that. Clutch Gaming. If you missed the Golden Guardians part, the first episode, you can click right there to check that out. Or, of course, you can follow the different social media stuff if you like it. Or if you want to comment and let us know why you actually think Clutch Gaming is good. Tell me why you think Clutch Gaming is good. And if you're just going to say, just because of Huni, I think you're wrong, but we'll talk about it. It'll be a fun discussion, and we'll go from there. All right, thanks for watching.